In short, the truth that we are interested in is extremely dependent upon our ego, our field of concern, the truths relating to that. There's no religion higher than truth. It's because religions are concerned with what our concerns are in living, the concerns of humanity as a whole, as conceived of in that religion. And the truths, therefore, deemed to be of value to mankind, which we define as the understanding with regard to meeting and the cause of such needs. Religion is justified in its own view by the validity of the truths that it considers, the issues of which are deemed to be important in our culture, which is itself been modelled by the development of that religion to date. Consensus circularity here. Truth validates what we hold to be important. And it is important because we hold it to be true. The reasoning is true to our understanding because it validates from our experience what we hold to be important. Truth is the validation that we feel happy with, but we feel happy with it because it validates, it supports, it explains something that we value. In particular, the faith in something being so is validated by the assumption of such relationship, implying action that turns out to be beneficial from our point of view. When all said and done, truth is what happens or has happened in the phenomenal world of this universe. Time, space, matter of change, and the uncertainty with it. Of particular concern to us is that it has a predictive value, that in certain specified circumstances, this outcome will result. In other words, our understanding of truth and its validity turns on a setting of otherwise uncertainty that becomes cleared by the understanding of the truth. Religion has to measure up to this. If it doesn't, what it's saying is of no help, and therefore no interest to us. In other words, truth has to be, imposes an incredible practicality upon whatever it's applied to. If If I'm looking for the truth of this religion, I mean, quite simply, does it help me achieve the goals that I have? Quite simply, does it reduce the uncertainty of the outcome by following the behavior that this teaching implies, this religion? If I start to get the impression that following this religion results in a poverty of achieving that which I value, then I discard the religion, unless it's being imposed on me by circumstances like the culture, the politics, the society in which I'm in. I will be objecting, at least within, that this religion is just not valid. It's not true. It doesn't work. If, on the other hand, I find it does work, that, it says we should simply trust Mother, this notion of God or this understanding of the Guru, and look, the people that do it achieve the goals that you value. Then it's that truth of the matter from our perspective that makes the teaching be held to be valid. It's the truth. It's true, I tell you. Believe in God and your life is better. Look, here's the evidence. Well, it passes through our mind. God is all-powerful and all-knowing. He doesn't need truth, for he is already all that it truly is. Perhaps I could drop the word truly. He is already all that is. Hence, when he's asked his name, he replies in the Hebrew religion and scripture, I am what I am. In other words, you seek truth. I don't. I am the truth of an all-knowing, all-being, all. I'm not understanding it from the point of view of the particular, your view of your needs and how to achieve them, and your neighbour's view, etc. I, as the divine, we're assuming, have no needs. I have all and am all. I'm not short of needs to be met. Truth is an aspect of that. In the world of unknowing, but I am all. Of course, the conception of being all is hardly well conceived by us. From our limited experience, we can't help but find it almost impossible that a being could be all. We're not even clear what all means, certainly not its scope. So we quite reasonably attribute the validity of truth for such a being. But even truth, you see, is particular to incapacities. And how to rescue one from such, which is not the condition we assume God to be in. He doesn't have incapacities. He's all-powerful, all-knowing. He is all. Quite simply, our notion of the divine intelligence is necessarily reaching out into the unknown and unknowable from a partial point of view. Meaning, quite simply, we're not going to be able to answer this question. It's intractable. To the finite, limited, transitory experience of life, the position that we're looking from. In short, we can be told what is, but it's incomprehensible to us. It wouldn't become comprehensible accepting we have the mind of God, which would deny our very personhood, which is by definition limitation of life, not that fullness of life. We would need that fullness of life to understand the explanation. Thank you, Dad. A definition of the validity of truth is that it clears the uncertainty. It predicts accurately what will happen and is found to be so. But God does not face this uncertainty, or at least the uncertainties, many that we face, he doesn't. There is no uncertainty to clear. He'd have no need of such an explanation. He could produce the explanation, but he doesn't need it. Because he doesn't have uncertainty as regards this relationship. He knows the relationship already. He hasn't arrived at an explanation that shows its consistency with all other truth and that which is, because he knows all other already. And this. So to try and give a simple example, God's explanation has no uncertainty in it. Mine does. Because I'm in the universe of uncertainty, there are gaps in knowledge all over the place. His knowledge is complete. We say then that he has the truth, but ours is partial, especially from our perspective, but also from his, because he knows certain links in our line of reasoning are missing. And what we are assuming is at risk. It's bridged by an assumed relationship. And we can be wrong on that particular assumption. And there may be many of such possible errors in our line of reasoning. I almost want to say his is not reasoning, he knows. Ours is conjecture, because we're not certain of the links. In fact, we're not certain of any of the links. We've just found them to be highly probable from our perspective. Probability is not something that God is dealing with. He can explain what probability is from our perspective, but knows that's not his perspective, because he knows all the causal links. Is the assumption of an all-powerful, all-knowing God. To ask if such a state exists is to be asking, does God exist? And the reply to us, who are children in this regard of understanding, is that we might practice taking it on trust and seeing if it works. Is your life nearer to what the things that you value when you trust God does exist? It's all-powerful, say, and all-loving, compared to if you live assuming he does not exist. Which do you find works best from your point of view? Taste and see. It's a simple answer. Thank you, Dad. So the Hindu religion, the scripture tells us that chapter 11 is, even with God's, well, especially with God's opening, the perception of Arjuna to chapter 11, it's unbearable to Arjuna, who says, could you return to your charioteer presentation? In other words, I can relate to the guru, but not to this. It's too much for me. Or as the Christian religion puts it, the Hebrew religion puts it, the wisdom of man is as foolishness with God. God doesn't need best theory as to what the explanation is. He has the explanations. Even he created what the explanations were to be. And remain so, if he so chooses. For what he thinks is, from the point of view of the phenomenal world. We are part and parcel in the mind of God. At least that's what seems to be the case. From this phenomenal universe point of view that we seem to be in. But of course, even that is actually only the thoughts of God. Love you, Dad. Thank you for your love and care of us, your children. Thank you, Dad.